All right, so I have Rick Whitehead with me today, and we are going to talk a little bit about him as a candidate for sheriff, and a little bit on his platform and what he's doing, and some little, information about you. So, kind of give us some opening statements, a little bit about yourself, and why you're running for sheriff.
Good morning, and thank you for having me on, and thank you for doing this. Um, I've been in Kootenai County, been a resident here since 2011. My career was in Texas. I've 33 plus years in uniform, actually a little over 40 years total in law enforcement, public safety. My last, between retiring from my last agency, was a sheriff's department 5 times the size of Kootenai County. I
Mm.
was recruited to be the director of a 911 agency in Oregon. I went over there for a little while. That wasn't what they said it would be when they recruited me over there, so that didn't last very long. And then I came here in the mid 90s when I was still gainfully employed. I started a training company, and that was based off of a training need I saw in my agency. I wrote a training program for them that grew legs outside the agency. So then I ended up starting a company and taught part-time throughout the rest of my career. And then once we came to Idaho, we kind of, this my semi-retirement job is I travel the country. uh, Without a pandemic, I travel about 20-25 weeks a year conducting training in law enforcement, well, public safety agencies across the country
Wow.
in leadership, forensic investigations, and field training models. And so that's what I do now in the interim of running for sheriff.
Awesome. So, what made you run for sheriff, and why Kootenai County Sheriff?
Well, in the last election, uh, I had several officers know me from my training company. They had approached me about running for sheriff in the last election, but Ben Wolfinger and I are professional friends. I didn't have any bones to pick with Ben, so I wasn't going to run against him. Plus, trying to unseat an incumbent's not wise anyway. So I didn't do that. And then when this election cycle came around, the same people were pushing me to run again. I had coffee with Ben, and he said he wasn't running again. And I just felt on my heart impressed to do more than just my training company, but I didn't know what that was. So when I had coffee with Ben and he said he wasn't running, the light went off in my head is that this is where my skill set and experience and training has brought me to, and that's what I need to do.
Oh, that's great. So, what's your favorite thing about Kootenai County?
Just the beauty of it. My wife and I talk about it all the time. We just don't want to ever take that for granted. She grew up on the West Coast.
Right.
Uh, I grew up in the Ozarks of Missouri, which is similar to this, on a smaller scale, lakes and, the Ozark Mountains and stuff like that. And then my career was in Texas, and it only has one season, and that's hot. So we knew when we retired we were coming northwest. We just didn't know where until we discovered North Idaho, and we knew as soon as we came through here, this is where we were coming when we retired.
Yeah, it's wonderful. I'm lucky I got to grow up here. So, what is one thing that everyone should know about you?
That I'm real easy to talk to. I'm approachable. I'm a common sense um, guy, um, and I will always tell you the truth. And I will always answer a question. So if you don't want to know the answer, don't ask the question because you may not like the answer that you get.
That's perfect. What is something you do as a hobby in your spare time? It doesn't sound like you have much spare time. You're busy, but what are the hobbies? Where can we find you?
My hobbies are, well, I grew up fishing, but
Mhm.
I have done very little of that since I've been here. Besides running my training company, I like to play golf. We live on a golf course in Post Falls, so that's convenient.
Yeah.
We love playing golf in Twin Lakes. That's one of our favorite places. So golf, being outside, sitting outside, just enjoying the weather and the beauty of it. Um, and actually, this is going to sound really kind of funny, but walking barefoot in the grass is one of my favorite things to do because you can't walk barefoot in Texas without getting bit by something.
Oh, I didn't
A,
even
fi-
think about that.
Fire ants or something's going to get you if
Yeah.
you're in Texas. And so being in the grass barefoot here just tickles me to death because I don't have to worry about getting bit.
I didn't think about that. What is your favorite restaurant in Kootenai County?
I don't know that we have a favorite restaurant. We depends on what our taste buds are. There's a, a Mexican place in Hayden we like to go to. I like to take my wife to Beverly's for the view of the lake and And for being a resort restaurant, they're really reasonably priced. So it's not like you would think it'd be, a real expensive place to go. So I like taking her, there so we have a pretty view and
Yeah,
enjoy that.
you can't beat
Um,
that view.
but on a day in, day out basis, Rogers Hamburgers is our staple, or Del Taco Burritos, one or the other.
Oh yeah, I live downtown, so I walk past to the Rogers one all the time. Um, so what's the first thing you're going to do? So let's say everything's lifted, quarantine's over. I know we're in stages here in Idaho, but what's the first thing you're going to do?
Actually, things haven't really changed much for me, um, other than all the meetings that I normally would have had, 12, 14-hour days meetings, and my calendar cleared up with this. But other than that, getting out and about, putting up campaign signs. I do Zoom chats like this to stay in touch with people. And
Yeah.
so the lockdown really hasn't affected me that much, other than not being able to go into a restaurant and sit down, which is where a majority of my meetings were.
Mm-hmm.
The If I was sheriff now, I would not be enforcing this lockdown order. The the government, in recognizing a hazard, is well within their bounds and actually should say, here's a hazard, here's the precautions we suggest you take. But it's not up to them to mandate us take anything, to arbitrarily close businesses, to limit our gathering. Those are all liberty things that the government cannot take away without due process, and we've been denied that. So as sheriff here, I would be standing with Sheriff Wheeler in Bonner County and other sheriffs across the country and saying, I'm not penalizing people for, going out in public or meeting or whatever else, because that's their right to do.
Right. Thank you. What is one piece of advice you would give a younger you?
Seek advice, listen to your parents, um, uh, just take counsel and make common sense decisions, and look ahead of, what seems right in the moment in making that decision. Think about the next step and the next step. Each decision we make knocks over a domino, which knocks over another domino, which knocks over another domino. And I know in my youth, I had a hard time seeing past that first domino.
Mm-hmm.
And only in later years did I realize the decisions I made then, the long-term impacts that those decisions have. So just slow down and consider all those different dominoes and not just the first one you see.
Yeah, I wish I'd listened to my parents more too. So if they're listening, they're gonna laugh. All right, well, tell us, kind of just give us this end time to tell us kind of a little bit more, anything you want to close on, anything that you think that anyone listening needs to hear when they are going to the voting booth or getting their absentee ballot, which I've heard that they need to do by this week. So anything else you need to add, and let us all know.
As far as your absentee ballot, you absolutely have to vote by mail this time. There's no choices.
Oh, right.
Uh, and you have to go to either the elections office on 4th Street to get that form, or you can go online to the Secretary of State's office. And I've even shortcutted that. If you go to my website, which is sheriffrick.com, on the menu bar, there's a link that says ballot. If you click on that, that takes you right to the Secretary of State's form to fill out. So it makes it real easy. You don't have to remember that long address. Sheriffrick.com, and ballot will get you there. Um, I'm the most qualified guy in the race with 40 years of experience, a large sheriff's department. I promoted up through the rank of captain. I've written and implemented $85 million budgets. I've written and implemented large pay scales or budgets and to fix the problems that Kootenai County currently faces today. The sheriff's office is plagued with being a training agency. They hire people, they keep them a few years, and then they go to another agency where they get better pay and benefits and they get treated better. I'm the only candidate in the race that has a proven track record of solving those issues. Travis County, where I came from, we faced the exact same thing in the 90s. And that's when I became involved in our association and politically involved in fixing that and working collaboratively with our county commissioners and our citizens groups to address those issues and collaboratively work on fixing those. And within a few years, we slammed the door on attrition at Travis County and stopped being a training agency. And from those relationships and that collaborative working spirit, even today, 2020, from the relationships that were established in the 90s, even today, are the commissioners at Travis County still sit down with the association without a compulsion to bargain. We've never had bargaining, but without a compulsion to bargain, just based off a relationship, they still come to the table every year to talk.
Perfect.
And that's how I work, is relationship based, collaboratively. What's a win-win for everybody?
That's great. And how can we get like someone wants to contact you for questions, or you gave us your website. Is there any other way that you'd like people to reach out to you?
I'm on Facebook, I'm on Instagram, I'm on Twitter. Everything is pretty much Sheriff Rick. It might be Sheriff Rick 86, depending on the platform, but the easiest way is hit the website, sheriffrick.com. My phone number's on there. You can email me on there. I return phone calls all day long. I'll get a message, people ask me questions, and instead of typing something back, I'll just call them and we have a conversation.
Perfect. I love that. I know. I want to commend you. I am I'm on social media all the time, and you are super easy to find on Instagram. So well done on that.
Thank you. Well, I can't take all the credit. I've got a volunteer in the campaign that's my wife considers me a geek, but I'm not near the geek that it takes to stay up with all this. So I've got a volunteer that helps me do that.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much, Rick.
Thank you very much for having me. I enjoyed it.